Hello and welcome to Fins. This is Supreme Commander Forged Alliance. The two greatest players ever to play this game are playing here. I am actually not sure if I have already casted this one or not, but if it's again, that's alright. So both players here will go with the Aeon. This one first lands from Mephi, going with a total of 6 power generators. Tech 1 not going to the Hydra. So that's Hydra is pretty vulnerable if somebody sends flares there. And of course Sir Louis, a very amazing player here. 5 PGens, 2 land. So 1 less PGen there for Sir Louis. So I got this replay for Tojas. He just sent me a whole bunch. And this is pretty awesome. There should be really nice footage in the near future. Try to look through them, and this one definitely one that people should see. Speed it up at first. Probably play this one pretty slow. We're gonna see some amazing things in this one. So it looks like 2 PGens, 2 mass extractors, and first 2 NGs from Sir Louis. Absolutely no flares yet. Now we do see a scout, and we've got to get these rocks. Any Fins player doesn't get these rocks, big trouble. I've seen Mephi actually go rush a T2 mass extractor with these rocks. And actually it looks like one of the first engineers for Mephi here going down to the Hydra, and a relatively unprotected engineer. Of course we do see here a flare coming in from Mephi. He is going around. He's going to go after that Hydra, and Sir Louis is not even thinking about it. Sir Louis did spot those, however, and he's moving in a flare to try to intercept this engineer here from Sir Louis. Completely well, you can say he's defended by this scout right here, a very forward scout from Sir Louis. He knows this engineer is safe. And now here's the battle between an Aurora and a flare. And Sir Louis, or Mephi here, does the right thing, splits up the Aurora and the flare. And you can see it looks like this Aurora was confused. The flare gets through, and if the flare can get in, kill these engineers, this is going to be a really good victory for Mephi early on. Looks like both the engineers picked up all the rocks. And will this flare stop? Nope, it looks like it's just going to keep on running. It's going to make a lap around Sir Louis' base. Sir Louis now working on his 3rd land. Looks like he's going 4th air and the 5th, 6th land. The ACU for Sir Louis. It's going to be close. Actually, both ACUs. Sir Louis is a little faster. Mephi's coming in. We are seeing air now coming out for Mephi. He's going first interceptor. And quite a bit of power overall here for Mephi. Is he upgrading any mass extractors? That's the question. It looks like in this one he didn't go for that. That's pretty dangerous against Sir Louis. Looks like that flare was finally killed with this Aurora. Really missed opportunity. That flare did lose its radar, its scout, so he couldn't see that these engineers were unprotected. And good work from that Aurora from Sir Louis. Two Auroras on either side protecting. And of course Aeon on this map is very dominant. You can go in the middle floating with these Auroras. Both ACUs at their respective choke points. Sir Louis slightly faster. Looks like the units for Mephi are being pulled close to his ACU. Sir Louis is looking to take the middle position. Good placement for radar. Both players have a radar here in the middle, which are great targets for these Auroras. They can sneak in and get out. And we see now bombers for Mephi. Mephi knows that bombers are the counter to Auroras, and this is the reason. A lot of splash there, although only scouts died in that particular situation. We should see interceptors now coming out for Sir Louis. 5 land factories and 1 air factory. And now we're seeing ghettos coming out. We see it's going to be 5 land factories and 1 air factory for Mephi as well. But bombers, interceptors, definitely air control for Mephi early on here at minute 5. See how well these bombers do. It looks like this bomber, that's the last bomb, takes out a couple more Auroras, total of 3 kills. And now Sir Louis' ACU taking out mass extractors. Engineer's going to go hide. Same thing for Mephi, except now it looks like he's going to capture some. And flag coming out for Sir Louis as well. We are seeing this ghetto, 6 flares on that one. But it looks like Mephi is keeping that hidden. But now 4 interceptors, it's going to feel pretty secure. He's going to take out those Auroras, looking for that radar from Mephi. Actually, you can see scouts are 1 damage per shot. It only takes 10 shots from scouts to kill a radar. 1 flare takes care of the situation. And actually, a bit of danger for this ghetto. You can see those interceptors from Sir Louis. Although those interceptors, actually 3 interceptors was enough, but all of those 3 interceptors will die. So good defense there from Sir Louis. here at minute 6. Sir Louis' ACU quite deep into Mephi's territory, taking out multiple mass extractors, and Mephi also rolling through. I definitely haven't casted this one. I don't remember what happens. Mephi looks like he's looking directly into Sir Louis' base. Sir Louis are already working on a Tech 1 PD to protect his Hydro. Perhaps there should be another one directly in his base. Both players have pretty good Aurora forces. A little more flak there for Sir Louis. Still total air control for Mephi, and Mephi actually capturing back these mass extractors that Sir Louis captured with his ACU. And a nice flare here, but it looks like it's a lonely flare getting kills, but a nice force there from Mephi, moving up to the top choke point. Sir Louis is retreating. Mephi is still just making mass extractors, not thinking about going in. This point defense perhaps for the future. And it looks like a nice force coming in from Mephi to this choke point. So we're going to see standoffs. And Mephi looking to take the full advantage of the fact that Auroras can go in water. Trying to sneak around this force. Looks like a few more numbers here for Sir Louis. Mephi is going to move in. Both ACUs are going to meet. Still absolutely no Navy in this game. But it's nice to get Tech 1. A few submarines make it really unsafe for the ACUs. That's what happens. Oh, and this is going to be a good bomb if it drops. It doesn't drop, so a bit of a mistake there from Mephi. Could have been very devastating when Auroras are so close together and get like 9 with one shot. A bit of an air fight once again. It looks like Sir Louis finally takes air back. We do see another ghetto here planned. Actually, this one has some engineers. So Mephi's thinking about taking out these islands, which are protected by a Tech 2 point defense and a Tech 1 flak. So a ghetto can definitely take that over. And in terms of land units, looks like Sir Louis has a pretty big advantage now. He's got them all together here in the middle. Two separate forces for Mephi. Mephi definitely doesn't want this fight. It's probably nearly a 2-to-1 here. That'll be a big loss. Mephi should retreat. You can see Mephi avoiding the ACU. And bombers not coming in for Sir Louis. Sir Louis can kill this with bombers. He can just march through into Mephi's base. Looks like this ghetto here. He's going to try to take over that island, but way more interceptors for Sir Louis. Sir Louis splits up his forces. He's got to respect Mephi, his ACU. Actually getting an upgrade here. And Mephi tries to... this could be big trouble for Mephi. Still numbers for Sir Louis, even though he split up his forces. And Sir Louis took just a little more than Mephi has here. And these bombers can really make a big difference. See, pretty devastating there. And no flak with this force. Mephi's still working on his upgrade. He's got to get that as soon as possible. Otherwise this force is in a bit of trouble. And Sir Louis kind of not sure what he wants to do. Good reinforcements here from Mephi, so perhaps a missed opportunity there for Sir Louis to push. Maybe he did not want to. Now Sir Louis, or Mephi here, has got one of the gun upgrades. It looks like it's range. I guess that's a pretty good upgrade against the Auroras. They can no longer outrange the ACU. But you can see with those numbers he lost a lot of health very quickly. T2 line coming out for Sir Louis. And that's going to be a very big advantage for Sir Louis with these shields, 5,000 health plus going water. Auroras and shields is very devastating until you get about Tech 3. These are even good against Tech 2, of course, with hoplites. We don't have any hoplites here, but against Aeon, there's really, you can take on Obsidians if you want with this type of force. And these are going to die here from Mephi. Mephi is going for a second upgrade. He definitely wants to get. He needs to get rapid fire on that gun if he has any chance. Big numbers advantage now for Sir Louis. Do we see any Tech 2 yet? No. It's going to be Tech 2 versus ACU with 2 upgrades. However, one good thing for Mephi, he did take over this island, a couple of good wrecks plus 2 mass extractors, and he's going to try to take over the other. That might just keep him in the game. Mephi perhaps some power problems, pausing. And still air domination here from Sir Louis, and he's using that to use his bombers. Try to take out a few more Auroras. Still no bomb drop there. So we've seen a few mistakes there from these players in terms of controlling their bombers. Perhaps they're really much more focused on controlling their Auroras, and you can see some power problems for Sir Louis as well. Takes 5 power generators to keep this going. Actually 6 power generators. Now we got Mephi coming out, both guns loaded, and got the range and rapid fire. And Sir Louis definitely is just going to leave. He does not want to take this fight. this ACU from F is going to get a lot of kills. A very good fight here. We are seeing now some blazes. So instead of Obsidian's T2 tanks, although Blaze versus an Aurora, when Auroras have shields, of course shields are expensive. I believe the Aurora can actually outrange the Blaze. Of course the Blaze has way more health, 1000 health, versus an Aurora that has only 140. A big difference. A Blaze is about 2000 mass, while an Aurora is about 50. So for 4 times as much mass, you get 10 times as much health, and it still has the ability to go on water. So Blaze is definitely a good choice, and definitely not as susceptible to bombers. So it looks like Mephi is able to take out both islands, but of course Sir Louis has found this out. He can do a counter drop if he wants, and this is purely Tech 1 is going to have to retreat against this Tech 1, Tech 2 force. Still power problems for Sir Louis. Perhaps he is making a little more power, but it looks like he does not want to stop his air spam. He does not want to lose air to Mephi, and he's actually in the process of doing that now. Mephi with 15 kills. You can see Sir Louis just ran away. He does not want to give any kills to this ACU, and of course he's going to need some T2 point defenses at his base if he wants to have any chance to protect this ACU can outrange. So Mephi's probably thinking he's got to kill Mephi's base before Mephi kills his base with this ACU. Now Mephi definitely just going to pick up the mass extractors first and then move in. Tech 1 point defenses no longer protect against ACU. Of course they do slow it down. Now Mephi attacking here, splitting off a couple of Auroras. This is a sign of a good player, moving in with a big force and taking advantage of any other targets that he can possibly have. And see these Auroras killing off undefended mass extractors, engineers, raiders. Quite a bit of power here. One thing to note, absolutely no artillery from either player. It's all Auroras, and we are seeing T2 land now from Mephi as well. Sir Louis moving in, no upgrades on this ACU. That's a very big difference between these two players. And of course now Mephi with total air control moving in with his ACU. Will we see a base switch? That's the question here, minute 15. Sir Louis is trying to get his units close, leading with his ACU. Of course Auroras can still outrange this ACU. But Blaze is here and his shield, big advantage. Of course the shield also for Mephi. Will we see a couple of Tech 1 point defenses? Tech 1 point defenses will defend very well against this force from Sir Louis, and Sir Louis now trying to get some Tech 2 point defenses. We got a shield. Total air domination by Mephi. So Mephi playing this very well. We did see Sir Louis kind of having this advantage with early T2, but now Mephi with his gun putting a lot of pressure on Sir Louis' base. Of course this Tech 2 point defense is going to make a big difference. This engineer nearly dead now. Mephi with 26 kills. He's got to be very careful against that Tech 2 point defense. He is doing very good defense here at his base. See quite a few dead Auroras. Anything that's under the shield is pretty much alive. Looks like Sir Louis is going to try to avoid this area, move in, kill a couple of his Hydras, and if he can roll through, kill this power right here, Mephi could be in quite a bit of trouble. Of course back at Mephi's base it's a lot of dead units, total air domination, and this a couple more Tech 2 point defenses for Sir Louis would be very nice. And it looks like a push now against Sir Louis with this force from Mephi. Mephi being very aggressive. Sir Louis at 24 kills. Do we see any overcharges here? Overcharges would be great for Sir Louis. And an excellent move from Mephi there. And look at these engineers from Sir Louis, keeping him in the game. Still looks like Sir Louis has more units. And now Sir Louis finds himself in the water. Do we see any navy yet? No. Mephi also retreating with 40 kills. We see this Tech 2 point defense. It's really hard to attack that if you're a single ACU, and making some anti-air, it looks like. Still just T2 ground and a T1 air from Sir Louis. However, Sir Louis has been forced into the water. A lot of wrecks here for Mephi. Mephi still has a lot of power, so he can really utilize that mass. So let's see if Sir Louis can come up with some crazy idea to come out of the situation. Big numbers advantage now for Mephi. Great victory. And you see all these dead units. Looks like Blaze is the name of the game for Mephi. Now that this force left, Sir Louis can come out of the water, perhaps kill a Hydra. If this ACU rolls through and kills all this power, that just might get Sir Louis back in the game. Mephi making more anti-air turrets. Some wrecks here for Sir Louis as well. So his T2 engineer is moving across, perhaps some T2 point defense. If Sir Louis can defend against this force, which he should be able to, he's got a couple of T2s here. Sir Louis just killed off the Hydra. They're coming up on minute 20. And taking these islands, extra 4 mass extractors, big, very big for Mephi. You can see how powerful these shields are. Actually, a nice regrouping action there for Mephi, and that will allow Sir Louis to reinforce with some shields and a tech 2 point defense now for Sir Louis. And T2 flak here, T1 air just gets slaughtered. 5 kills for 1. And the T2 engineer here. Great use of T2 engineers from Sir Louis. He's really doing a T2 point defense creep along both sides of his base. And of course these single blazes gotta get out of there. You gotta get out of there. And now we are seeing Mephi get back out of the water. He's gonna kill a Hydra. And this is all of Sir Louis' powers right here. This is, if Mephi can kill this, Sir Louis is gonna be in huge trouble. And elsewhere we see Sir Louis putting some pressure, but really not much he can do without the range upgrade. Tech 1 point defense is a really good defense against this ACU. But still they want to put a little more pain. Actually, Sir Louis reclaiming all these, so instead of Mephi getting all these wrecks, looks like Sir Louis picked that all up with his ACU, so good move. Mephi keeps on walking around the map. Looks like some engineer action here with some radars from Mephi 2v1. And excellent defense from Sir Louis. I really thought that Sir Louis could be in a bit of trouble here, but he really rebuilt with T2 very quickly. And that's got to be because Sir Louis really picked up a lot of mass from here. Still a few wrecks left, and you can see Mephi rebuilding his Hydra. Very even game here. Aurora's of course taking out anything on water. T2 power coming out for Sir Louis, and he's got plenty of T2 engineers. He's got T2 point defenses on each side, which means he can really defend his base. And this is excellent work from this engineer. A nice surprise for this force. Tech 2 point defenses and radar. That Tech 2 point defense did quite a bit of damage. And perhaps Sir Louis could be in a bit of trouble. He is at 5,000 health. He's got to run into the water. He's got a big T1, T2 force, and he's running into the water. Still absolutely no navy. And once again, the air has changed sides. Now Sir Louis dominates, but if he keeps on flying right above this T2 flak, just got constructed already with 5 kills. It's going to be very even air once again. Now Sir Louis is forced back into the water by this T2 force. Sir Mephi now has 2 T2 forces and a pretty big T2 force now from Sir Louis moving into Mephi's territory. Perhaps a counter with this force here. They will have a run into Tech 2 point defense, but they can definitely overwhelm it. Aeon Tech 2 point defense is very good against Tech 2, very good against ACUs, not very good against numbers. And this is only 8 Auroras, it's probably not enough. And this is not a fight that Mephi wants unless he can use both of his forces here. See, Sir Louis is moving in. And actually here comes the Mephi's ACU with the double gun. Sir Louis has got to run away. He does not want this fight. He does not want his force to be sandwiched by 2 forces from Mephi and Mephi's ACU. This could be devastating. We can see Sir Louis looking for a path out. These are all, of course, floating units. He can always go into this lake and just run away. But let's see what Sir Louis does. He is sending some air to figure out the situation. Pushing ahead against one of the forces, but this one actually quite even numbers here from both players. Looks like Mephi is going to be chasing this force down. Sir Louis getting out. He's going to try to get back to his base. And retreating back to this Tech 2 point defenses would be a very good move from Sir Louis. Now Sir Louis looks like he's going to look to take over this expansion. There is one flare here with 2 kills. We'll be taking on a Tech 2 engineer. And some bombers coming in as well for Sir Louis. Sir Louis looks like he's going to have air control. Tech 1 bomber coming in for that expansion, as well as an engineer. Sir Louis can take over these islands, which looks like he will be able to, unless this flare can kill this Tech 2 engineer, which it should be, unless this Tech 2 engineer pays attention, which it's not. Good work there from that flare. But it looks like eventually both of these islands are going to belong to Sir Louis. Sir Louis will now with Tech 2 power, some Tech 2 mass extractors, Tech 2 land. Looks like plenty of power to make air, but he's not We do not see any tech to power from Mephi yet. He's got T2 air with some swift ones. We might see mercies. Of course, with T2 air, it is no longer safe for the ACUs to go into the water, because now with T2 bombers, Sir Louis can't really hide in the water anymore unless he has pretty good air. He does have pretty good air. Those swift winds, you can see here, they're already taking air locally. Looks like a counter-attack here on this expansion. Mephi is going to have to try to hold on to it. Some drops coming in, perhaps some more shields from Sir Louis. With that T2 power, can definitely afford more shields. And we'll see. It's going to be a very difficult base to break. Sir Louis has T2 point defenses, very good air. But perhaps this tech to air, we already see some torpedo bombers ready for Mephi in case they're needed. And you can see Sir Louis has taken over that expansion, so both players have one expansion. More T1 bombers coming in for Mephi. That's one big difference between Mephi and Sir Louis. A lot more T2 flag for Sir Louis. And some more drops coming in. These have blazes in them. 3, 4 shields now for Sir Louis, only 1 for Mephi. He does have a couple here which are turned off, so definitely more power problems. He's putting a lot of power into air. Perhaps we'll see some T2 power. Also, cruise missiles on this map, extremely powerful. We haven't seen that yet. And now we are seeing just how good T1 bombers are against flares, but with these swift winds, it's a sneaky transport there. And Tech 1 point defense, will it be built in time by Sir Louis? Probably not. Good attack there by the floating units. So Auroras on, can you imagine if one of these players wasn't aeon, they'd be in a huge disadvantage. So Mephi now with 53 kills, both guns. Sir Louis still hasn't got any upgrades, 34 kills. But a pretty massive force here, a lot of T2. Mephi getting a free mass extractor. So both players have a lot of respect for each other. Just really fighting over these expansions. We see more power being produced, more Tech 2 power mass extractors for Sir Louis, and T3 land plan now for Sir Louis. He now has a couple T2 mass extractors, look at 4 T2 mass extractors here. And he's going with T3 land. He has completely stopped any other production, which might give Mephi an opportunity to push. Of course, with this gun on this ACU, T3 is very risky. Might see some great work from this ACU in the near future. It's a T3 land versus T2 air here on Thins here, minute 27. A very close fight, and expansions are even, so extremely even in terms of map control. Perhaps the difference is one mass extractor that Mephi just picked up. Excellent work. Do we see T2 power? We do see T2 power now coming out for Mephi. That's going to give him a big advantage. More air spam plus more shields. And yeah, shielded ACU with gun against the T2 point defense. A big loss here for Sir Louis. Does he choose to defend it? Looks like he's going to try to get a shield over it. That's definitely a good move. An extra 5,000 health. And upgrades now for Sir Louis. Tech 3 land factor taking a little while to build, not too many engineers on that. Multiple shields overlapping over that Tech 2 point defense. Good defense. A very good choice there from Sir Louis to defend that. More reinforcements for Sir Louis. And actually, I may have already casted this game, but still, it's good to watch it twice. I think it's going to be a better cast this time. It's a very nice game. Now Mephi breaks through both the shields, 74 kills. Finally takes out that T2 point defense. Now sitting at 80 kills, a lot of health on this ACU, now 15,000 plus these shields. And a lot of reinforcements now coming in. T3 land is done, Harpies are coming out. Perhaps some shield disruptors might be a good idea as well. They can go on water with the rest of the units, and they're a very good counter to these T2 shields. A land factory now built by Mephi is going to try to pick up all this mass. Sir Louis got some upgrades of his own now. Still absolutely no navy, so very safe place for Mephi is if he goes into the water. He's got plenty of air. We do not see T2 air. No torpedo capabilities for Sir Louis. Sir Louis isn't beginning to attack with his ACU. You can see he's got both guns. He's got both range and about to get 40 kills here. Range and rapid fire. Mephi with 82 kills. Both players have plenty of T2 with them. And some drops now planned for Sir Louis. The first Harvey comes out here, minute 30. And now pretty big T2 air spam there from these torpedo bombers standing by from Mephi. Both ACUs shooting each other. The longest range on any unit here. See, both players don't want to feed the other player, just keep the other units out of range. But now a few Auroras get a little too excited for Sir Louis. Fed Mephi with a few more kills. See, Mephi is not even thinking about moving his units up. He's now going to feed Sir Louis' ACU, and a drop coming in for Sir Louis is going to try to take that expansion. And a big Harvey spam now from Sir Louis. So the question at this point, can Harveys win this game for Sir Louis? We see two Harveys here, a big wall for Mephi. A really big wall. That's going to buy him a lot of time. So any action for Mephi is going to come to the bottom choke point. Two ACs looking at each other and attempt to make T2 point defense. Takes out T2 engineer. Excellent work there from Mephi. He's about to get 100 kills too. We do see some Harveys here at the back door going to do some defense. We saw scouts from Mephi. Mephi saw the base. He's got some T2 point defenses to deal with, and he is moving in. Looks like Sir Louis is going to follow. And now here come the Harveys. Can Mephi overcharge those Harveys? You got to split those. You don't want to have them so close to each other. Now three Harveys. And perhaps Mephi is going to feel like this is not a fight he can win. Multiple T2 point defenses and Harveys. He is retreating back to Sir Louis' ACU. If he can force Sir Louis into the water now, this could be very bad for Sir Louis. I can see elsewhere Sir Louis doing a lot of damage. He's just avoiding that wall. He's just going to cut Sir Louis. He's going to... Well, this is some really crazy stuff going on. Now Sir Louis is in danger. He's full health, but we are going to see torpedo bombers come in and total air domination with swift winds. However, looks like Sir Louis has got some brave fighters trying to take out the torpedo bombers. Sir Louis has got to run. He's got to reunite with his T3 force. Harvey's moving in. Still haven't seen a single Harvey get hit by an overcharge from Mephi. That might be changed very soon. And now here come torpedo bombers. They're looking for that ACU still at full health. But looks like Sir Louis will be able to survive. Now Mephi finds himself between a massive T3 force here and Sir Louis' base. This could be checkmate. Now 91 kills. Can Mephi overcharge a few of those? There goes one Harvey. Sir Louis could be in a bit of trouble. He's got to retreat. Plenty of shields, however. Some T2 flak here too. And you can see these torpedo bombers didn't get that target. Still looking. And it looks like T3 is doing a lot of damage. You can see Mephi's army just melt away. He can go in the water, however. Water is still safe. But it looks like he's going to stay 106 kills. He's going to kill as much as he possibly can. Nothing is blocking him from going into the water. Can he kill a couple more Harveys before he leaves? Leaves with 111 kills. He's going to go underwater. Some shields. Still absolutely no navy from Sir Louis. But that was an excellent attack. What are we going to see from Mephi? Gunships. Blazes and gunships. Mephi comes out once again. This is a dangerous thing to do for Mephi. He's got to run back. Actually goes very low on health and gets a little too close to Harvey. He could have probably survived, but minute 35, Sir Louis wins the game with some excellent Harveys. So T3 land wins the game for Sir Louis. Hope people enjoyed it. This is about as good as this game gets.